Spoiler alert for Five Nights at Freddy's. Universal's Five Nights at Freddy's was a game-to-movie adaptation, and that's my review. In all seriousness, I'll get to my thoughts, so let's start with the cons. I think you have to come into this movie knowing a lot about Five Nights at Freddy's lore, and for me, a guy who's just played the VR game, most of the references of the games were completely lost on me. I also don't know how Mike's brother fit into the story, other than since he lost his brother, his redemption is finding the other kids that went missing. Probably my biggest critique about this movie is the middle part of the movie felt out of place for me. We went from setting up everything and setting these ruthless animatronics to happy, tame animatronics who like to play with children. Abby being able to talk to these ghosts and seeing their visions had no previous indication other than she was mentally challenged. And I feel like they were like, oh yeah, by the way, she can talk to ghosts now. In fact, I feel like most of this movie was manufactured. Like with Vanessa, she kind of just popped up on the second night and was like, hey, I'm a police officer. I should be trusted. Her relationship with Mike was also, hey, I'm the only female in the movie, so you should like me. There was definitely like a better way to introduce her. Braxton also had a couple thoughts on this movie. He wished that on the first or second night, they went into the movement on the cameras, the closing doors, trying not to get murdered by a robot bunny. He said that there wasn't much mystery or suspense, and they kind of just jumped right to the ghost children part. And I tend to agree. Now, for the pros. Speaking of all the Easter eggs, fan service, Braxton was having a ball pointing out all the FNAF references left to right and center. There was one point where there was a Dream Theory reference, and Braxton spit out his drink laughing. Matt Pat showed up. Braxton was like, oh my god, that's Matt Pat from Game Theory. And as soon as it clicked in our heads that it was Matt Pat from Game Theory, he was like, and that's just a theory. we died. I like how the first third of the movie was setting up the human characters in this movie. Their struggles, Mike's history of his brother, his aunt trying to separate him and Abby, which I should have talked earlier. Like, why? She's the most evil person in this movie. But she has no... Why did she want to separate them? For money? What kind of money? It was weird. Mike being the center of Abby's world. Really good character development and building for people that we've never seen before. Except for the aunt. I also liked how they pushed some of the exposition through Matthew Lillard in the beginning. His talking about the security system being dated, electricity being a little iffy, and talking about the breaker in the main office. I didn't notice this until I went back and rewatched it, but the span of the movie is when Mike is working at the pizzeria is 5 nights. So technically it's 5 nights at Freddy's. The acting in this movie was actually pretty surprising to me. Josh Hutcherson did a real good job as the film's lead, and I would love to see him in the role again. Matthew Lillard stole the show, in my opinion. He was giving off creepy vibes for the first time we saw him, but towards the end, he went full-blown crazy, and it was great. As for the best thing in this movie, the horror in this movie was actually surprising to me. I was hoping for it to be an R-rated movie. They should, they should release an R-rated cut out of this, but for a PG-13 movie, they definitely got away with some stuff. The trap in the beginning when they forced the animatronic face with blades on the guard is something like taken right out of a Saw movie. The horror and suspense from seeing Chica move the fan in the background, the curtain moving ever so slightly, meaning Foxy's probably walking around somewhere, Mr. Cupcake appearing, then disappearing, then eating one of the guy's faces off, like we do to cupcakes. Oh my gosh. A hand pulling the babysitter in her whole body being chopped off. Golden Freddy killing the aunt. I mean, it's a horror movie and not a kid's movie. Once they showed the 5 children on the screen for Mike's dream, I was like, oh my gosh, that's Freddy, Chica, Foxy, and Bonnie. I was like, oh boy, I'm on to something. Maybe the Golden Freddy's the 5th one. Oh boy, here we go. And just to find out, since Braxton played the games, he already knew what this was, and he knew this was a new thing that the movie was doing. It's just an adaptation from the game. And I was very upset. I was like, oh my gosh, I thought I was onto something, but I wasn't. Speaking of Braxton's thoughts, he liked the build-up of the story and the humans. He liked the ending. He also said, and I quote, I like the child murder part. So, for the grades, Braxton gave it a 7 out of 10, and I'm going to give it a 6.8 out of 10 or 68 out of 100, which is right beneath Killers of the Flower Moon on the drama horror thriller scale. As for the next movie I'm going to be reviewing, it's going to be a film released in a dying franchise.